In today's tutorial, we're covering QR codes. I'm going to show you everything you need to know to master them. Let's get started. This is Fuzzee Tutorials, and I'm Fuzzee D. Okay, so today we're going to be covering QR codes. I'm sure you've seen them around for a long time. They're pretty ubiquitous these days. So this is an example of what you can do with them. Now there are several services out there that do what they call hosting of your content that's attached to a QR code that requires a subscription, and you can certainly use those, but it wasn't really the original intention of QR codes. A QR code can stand alone, and of course it can be printed on a business card or put on a website. And if you're touring the website with a browser, you can just click on them and they'll take you to the link. Or if you've got a smartphone with a camera, most camera apps will automatically recognize a QR code and allow you to follow the link. Okay, let's get started here. So I found this website. It's qr-code-generator.org, and this allows you to create some pretty fancy QR codes. You can see we've got quite a few options here. So the first thing we want to do is we want to put in the link that we want it to connect to. Now this can be a YouTube video, it could be a website, it could be email, it could even be a text document somewhere, you know, like a Google Doc or something like that. So we'll just put in a web address. So a little shameless self-promotion. So it'll take whatever address you've created and create the appropriate QR code for it. And now we can go in and make some changes. So the first thing we can do is go in and pick a color. And through some of my own experimentation, I discovered that you want to turn on transparent background. And the reason for that is if you're posting this, for instance, on social media, if you don't make it a transparent background, it'll take whatever colors you've used for the outline and duplicate them as a background, and it just makes the whole thing look funny on like Facebook or something. So turn on transparent background, and then it won't create a big square around it in a color that you're not expecting. So I was going to show you an example of what it can look like when it has that weird behavior, but wouldn't you know it, it's not doing it now. Go figure. You can get really fancy and add background images behind this and gradients to your foreground color, but it's a good idea with QR codes, especially if you're going to be printing them, to just use plain colors. So if we wanted to pick a different color, they've got a little picker that comes up that you can use. So once you've got a color that you're happy with, we can go into design. You got some different options for how the actual QR code itself is going to look. So we can go through and find one that you like. Now if you go a little too off to something different, then people might not recognize it as a QR code. So I recommend you don't get too far off the beaten path, but you can if you like. It's completely up to you. So you definitely got some interesting looks you can do. And I haven't tested all of these, but you know, the different formats do still work. It's more of an issue of, will a person looking at it recognize it for what it is? I think that's your main concern. So now the next thing we can make some adjustments is, see these little squares in the three corners here? This is how it tells what direction it needs to be reading it. So you can make these different. So we could pick something like this. Now you can see the outer box has changed. And then we could match something on the inner box. That's what these ones down here are for. So I could go something like that. Or you could go with something like this. And we can even give them their own colors. So if we wanted to make the border around that little thing, let's say we wanted to make it blue, so we could just type in the code directly. It's kind of like the way I like to work. Oh, that's probably not bright enough. Well, these are just hexadecimal numbers. So there we go. And then we could take the center one and we could make it really bright blue. Or we could even make it a cyan color. So it gives you some pretty good customizing ability. And you could even go into different marker colors. So it's all up to your taste. As long as the QR code part right here is readable by whatever device you're using, then it doesn't matter what you do with the outer ones. You can make them as fancy or as different as you want. So I'm just going to turn that back off. And then you can stick a little logo right in the middle. So they've got some pre-done ones. So if you want people to know that this is a link, you could put that little link symbol in the middle, or you could put a little envelope for if it's an email thing, or a PayPal link, or you can put your own custom logo. So if I go here, click on this, then I can upload something. So I can use that. That's my own logo, and then you can change the size of it. I have had occasion where I've made the logo too big and then the QR code doesn't work. So make sure you test this as you go. You know, you can read it right off the computer screen with your phone. And now we can add a frame. So you've got a bunch of different frame styles to choose from. So say for instance, if I'm going to have this linked to a video, then I could use this one right here. And then you can change the text and you can change the font. Or you can do this type of a little frame for it. Basically, you can find one that suits your fancy. And then we could change the text, so I can make this a website. And then we can choose a font. Now they could use some more fonts on here. I'd like to see something a little different, but I mean, you could take this graphic, bring it into your own graphics program and apply your own font to it. So that's completely up to you, but you can just pick something that works. So I'll probably just go with Arial. You want something that's easy for people to read, and then you could actually make a custom frame color so you can have that look different again. So for the purposes of the tutorial, we'll just leave it black. And you've got some other options. So here you can change how big you want it to be, and you can set your precision. I always like to make it best. That just gives you a higher resolution. Now, I haven't played with any of this other stuff here. Didn't really see the need for it, but that's something you can do as you expand your knowledge. So once you get it set up just the way you like it, then we'll go here and click on Save. And then you can either print it off or download it in 3 different formats. You got PDF, SVG, and PNG. I recommend for most people PNG to put it on say, websites and social media. And then you can also do SVG if you think you might want to be doing large print advertising with it and be able to resize it and have it stay nice and clean and clear. And there we go. There's what we just downloaded. So that's pretty easy, folks. And you don't need to get caught up in paying subscriptions and posting stuff on other websites and whatnot, unless you see a real need for that. For those of you who might be wondering, I do have a DaVinci Resolve tutorial coming out next week. I'm almost done with the filming. I've just got a couple other little things, and then it's a big one, so it's going to take some editing. But I'm going to be showing you how to build not just a macro and turning it into a library effect. I'm going to show you how to build a really clean, customized control for it, so that you can put stuff exactly where you want it. And I'm going to show you how to label some stuff that is normally really difficult to do unless you know this trick. And then I'll also take you through creating the macro, what stuff to turn on, what order to pick stuff, and how to turn that into an installable package where when the end user gets it, all they got to do is double click on it. So if you found this useful, please make sure to hit that like button. And if you want to see more videos on our channel, make sure you subscribe and hit that notification bell so you don't miss a thing. Thanks for hanging out with us today, and we'll see you on the next video. Bye for now.